Yes, my friends, things are heated behind the scenes at the Steelers, and I'm going to tell you everything that's happening right now, without further ado. But first, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Steelers have the ability to make the playoffs this season? If so, hit the like button. If not, comment on why you think so. Anyway, right, my heart bleeds black and gold. Man, I honestly really want to see the Steelers in the playoffs and even the Super Bowl, but that will require a lot of work and commitment. Some names are being circulated behind the scenes about a possible reinforcement, and that's what we're going to talk about. The Pittsburgh Steelers are preparing to make some potentially critical moves as roster cutdown day approaches, and the buzz surrounding a few intriguing names is heating up. Among those names, Romeo Doubs is the most headline-worthy, and the speculation that he might become available has turned heads in the Steel City. The former Green Bay Packers wide receiver is rumored to be on the chopping block, and if that becomes a reality, the Steelers must act decisively. At just 25 years old, heading into his fourth NFL season, Doubs brings a combination of experience and upside that could immediately boost the depth and versatility of Pittsburgh's receiving core. Let's break this down. The Packers used two of their top three 2024 draft picks on wide receivers, Matthew Golden and Savon Williams, creating a major logjam in their receiver room. That's forced speculation that someone like Doubs, despite his solid production, could be the odd man out. With 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns over 3 seasons, Doubs has flashed potential. But it's not all positive. His struggle with drops, 22 in 43 games, and a history of behavioral issues, including skipping practice last season out of frustration with his role in Green Bay's offense, have raised red flags. Yet, those issues haven't stopped the Steelers from being seriously linked to Doubs. With his size, 6'2", over 200 pounds, ability to block in the run game, and polished route-running skills, he profiles as the kind of receiver that fits into Arthur Smith's offensive scheme. Smith's system, similar to the one Doubs played in at Green Bay, demands physicality and discipline from its receivers, traits that Doubs, when locked in, has shown in spurts. And don't forget, Doubs had solid chemistry with Aaron Rodgers back in 2022. That familiarity could be a significant asset in fast-tracking his transition if he joins Pittsburgh, now that Rodgers is under center in black and gold. However, there are risks. Doubs is not just battling drops. He's also been hampered by injuries, including concussions, 2 last season alone. That type of injury history is a legitimate concern, especially considering the cumulative toll it could take on his career longevity. Additionally, a back injury in training camp this year only adds to the growing list of physical issues. And from a character standpoint, the Steelers' front office has made a point of moving away from players with disruptive tendencies, George Pickens being a prime example. So it's fair to question whether Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin would be willing to gamble on a player who once skipped practice due to frustration with his role. Despite those concerns, the potential reward could outweigh the risk. Jack Sperry of Steelers Talk argues that the Steelers should consider sending Green Bay a 7th-round pick preemptively to secure Doubs before he hits waivers. That way, Pittsburgh doesn't have to worry about losing him to another team with a higher waiver claim. From a front office perspective, flipping a late-round pick for a player who could legitimately compete for starting reps or be a high-quality depth option is a no-brainer. For a team that's all in on contending in 2025, these are the kinds of low-risk, high-reward decisions that can pay massive dividends when the season is on the line.
Dew isn't the only name floating around either. Dantavian Wicks and Will Shepard, both currently in the Packers system, are also being monitored. Shepard, undrafted out of Colorado, made a name for himself as a big-bodied, sure-handed target for Shedeur Sanders in college. His knack for contested catches and physicality make him a potential fit as a backup X-receiver. It's clear the Steelers are casting a wide net, not necessarily aiming for superstars, but for players who can step in and contribute under the radar. That's classic Steelers football, finding value in unexpected places. Switching gears slightly, there's also chatter surrounding New England Patriots receiver Jalen Polk, a 2nd-round pick from the 2024 draft who appears to be on the outs in Foxborough. Despite being taken 37th overall, Polk's NFL career has gotten off to a rocky start. With just 12 catches for under 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in his rookie year, he failed to separate himself in what was arguably the league's worst receiver room. And now, with the Patriots bringing in names like Stephon Diggs and Kyle Williams, Polk's days seem numbered. Here's the thing. While some might see Polk's situation as an opportunity, Steelers insiders are waving a big red flag. Sperry outright advises Pittsburgh to steer clear, calling Polk absolutely atrocious in his debut season. That's not hyperbole either. Reports from New England's training camp indicate that Polk's problems with drops and getting separation have only gotten worse. In fact, it got so bad last year he was benched, not for a promising young prospect, but for other struggling veterans. So where does that leave the Steelers? With Polk, the verdict is clear: pass. Even as a reclamation project, his lack of productivity and issues with route running and focus don't warrant a roster spot, especially with more promising talent either on the roster or available. Instead, names like Kendrick Bourne, an older, more polished veteran, have been floated as preferable options if Pittsburgh feels the need to dip into New England's cut list. And then we have one of the most surprising rumors of the week, a potential trade offer involving Washington Commanders wideout Terry McLaurin. According to Pittsburgh sports radio host Andrew Filipponi, the Commanders offered McLaurin to the Steelers in exchange for Pat Freiermuth and a second-round pick. The reaction? Immediate disbelief, and rightfully so. For starters, it flies in the face of everything Washington's been doing. They're in win-now mode with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels and a depleted receiver room. Trading away their only true WR1 just doesn't make sense, especially for a tight end they don't need in a second-rounder that won't help them in 2025. Plus, Washington already has depth at tight end with Zach Ertz, John Bates, and 2023 second-rounder Ben Sinnott. From a roster-building perspective, adding Freiermuth would be a luxury, not a need. And giving up McLaurin would create a massive hole on the outside that the Commanders simply cannot afford if they want to compete this season. So even though some fans might drool at the idea of pairing McLaurin with Rodgers, it's almost certainly a fabrication, or at least a poorly sourced rumor. One area where there may be real smoke is along the offensive line. The Steelers are reportedly considering bringing in veteran guard Dalton Risner for a visit. Risner, who started 10 games for the Minnesota Vikings last year, is known for his pass-blocking prowess. He didn't allow a single sack in 2024 and was PFF's 13th ranked pass-blocking guard. That sounds great on paper, but there's a catch. Risner has never been a good run blocker, and in a Steelers offense that prioritizes physicality in the trenches, that's a significant concern. Mason McCormick, a rookie right guard competing for a starting spot, has reportedly impressed during training camp and preseason. His PFF pass blocking grade is currently sitting above 80, which is a fantastic sign for someone transitioning from small school college football to the NFL. He's had some hiccups in run blocking, but overall, the early signs point to a player developing quickly. So the question becomes, do you disrupt that development to bring in a veteran like Risner, who might not be a long-term solution? Steelers fans, what do you think? Should Pittsburgh pull the trigger on acquiring Romeo Doubs before he hits waivers, or is the risk, both on and off the field, too much to take on? When it comes to roster building, timing is everything, and for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the clock is ticking. As we inch closer to the NFL's final roster cutdown day, every move Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin make could be the difference between just making the playoffs and making a real run at the Super Bowl. With so much noise surrounding potential additions and trade rumors, one name keeps coming up for better or worse: Romeo Doubs. The question isn't just if the Steelers should take a swing on him, but how aggressive they should be in trying to land a player with both undeniable upside and legitimate concerns. If it were up to you, Steelers Nation, would you take a shot on Romeo Doubs now before he hits waivers? Do the pros, his size, experience, and Rodgers' connection, outweigh the cons like drops and behavior issues? Let me know what you think. Is Doubs worth the gamble?